My husband's brother said casually, "Since you're making more money now, you should pay my rent. It's only fair." My husband smiled and said, "He's family. You should help." I nodded and said, "You're right." That's why I made some changes with the money. Their mouths dropped when they realized what I had done. I'm 34, and I've been married to my husband, Mark 36, for 10 years. In the beginning, things were good. We weren't rich, but we were okay. Mark used to make more money than me, and that was fine. I liked my lower-paying job and didn't mind our setup. Mark never complained, until I started making more. 2 years ago, I got a new job and quickly got promoted. Now I make twice as much as Mark. I didn't brag about it or make it a big deal. I kept paying my share of the bills, and we still had a joint account for household stuff. I never asked him to pay more, even though I earned more. In fact, I paid for a lot of the fun stuff: vacations, treats, little extras. That was my mistake, because once people see you making money, they act like it belongs to them. Then there's Mark's brother, Mike, 38. Mike is always a mess. He can't keep a job, always has drama with girlfriends, and nothing is ever his fault. And every few years, he ends up staying with us for a few weeks, which turns into months, without paying rent. We've loaned him money, never got it back. Paid his bills, even let him use one of our cars. But after I got my raise, he started making comments like, "Must be nice to have money now. Your job must be easy. So you're the one bringing in the money now, huh?" I ignored him. So did Mark. I figured it was just Mike being Mike. Then he asked for $500. I said no. He got mad, but I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. One night, he showed up uninvited for dinner. Right in the middle of eating, he said, "Since you make so much now, you should cover my rent. It's only $1,200. I stared at him. Did I hear that right? He continued, "You have a good life, and I'm struggling. Isn't that what family does, help each other?" I looked at Mark, expecting him to say something. Instead, Mark smiled and said, "He's family, babe. We've helped before. What's the big deal?" Something snapped in me. I was more shocked at Mark than Mike. I built a life with this man, and now I was expected to pay even more just because I earn more? I smiled and said calmly, "You're right. Family helps family. I'll make some financial changes." They both looked happy. Big mistake. The next day, I made my move. First, I cut off Mark's access to my personal bank account. I only put in my half of the bills into the shared account and nothing extra. Second, I checked what I was paying for. Turns out, I was covering Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Mark's gym membership, his car insurance, his credit card. I was a co-signer. I canceled everything that wasn't a must. Third, I gave Mike what he asked for, his own place. I found a cheap apartment in a bad area. I paid the deposit and first and last month's rent under his name. It was all his. The landlord knew to contact him, not me. That night, Mark tried to watch Netflix. "Hey, did you forget to pay?" "Nope," I said. I made a financial adjustment. The next day, he couldn't get into the gym. What's going on? Financial adjustment. Then his car insurance called, missed payment. Did you cancel it? Nope. I just stopped paying it. Mark freaked out, saying it wasn't fair and I was punishing him. I smiled sweetly. "Don't worry. Mike's rent is covered now. You said family helps each other, remember?" Then I handed them Mike's lease. Good news, he moves into his own place next week. Mark looked shocked. Mike went red. I just smiled. Mike jumped up. "What is this?" "Your new apartment," I said. "You wanted rent help, so I handled it." Mark yelled, "This is insane. You didn't even talk to me." I laughed. "Did you ask me before offering up my money?" Silence. Then Mike muttered, "This is why women shouldn't make more than their husbands." I froze. Mark said nothing. I looked at Mike. "What did you just say?" He repeated it. "Women get power hungry and think they run the place." I smiled slowly. "Oh, Mike, you have no idea how much worse this is going to get." The next 2 days, I kept going. I had Mike's keys ready early. I packed all his stuff, clothes, games, everything, and dropped it off at his new place. I left a note. "Your new kingdom. Enjoy." That night, he came home and panicked. "Where's my stuff?" "At your new place. You can't just throw me out." "I didn't. I set you up with your own apartment. Why aren't you saying thank you? I saw it in his face. He was scared. For the first time, he was truly alone. No job, no girlfriend, no friends to run to. He wasn't just using us for money, he needed us. And that's when I knew I had done the right thing. Next morning, Mark woke up and said, "My phone bill isn't paid." "Oh yeah," I said. "I took my name off that too. That's all yours now." He groaned. "This is getting out of hand." I slid him a cup of coffee. "Did you just call me ridiculous?" When I refused to pay for his brother's rent, I reminded Mark that I was just making things fair, like he had said. His jaw tightened. He had no comeback, but then he tried one last trick. "Fine," he said. "If you won't help my brother, at least keep things the same between us. This isn't just about him anymore." I actually laughed. "Oh, Mark," I said, shaking my head. "You were fine with everything when it worked in your favor. Now that you feel it too, suddenly it's a problem." He didn't say anything, but I could see something change in his eyes. He wasn't trying to fix anything, he just wanted control back. That's when I made one last move. I called a lawyer. I thought I had everything handled, but I wasn't ready for what came next. A week after I cut him off financially, Mark came home drunk and angry. "You're tearing this family apart," he muttered, tossing his keys. "All over money." I stayed calm. "No, Mark, you let your brother treat me like an ATM. That's what ruined it." He gave a bitter laugh and rubbed his face. "You really think you'll be okay without me?" I was caught off guard. "Excuse me?" He leaned in, smiling too wide. "You think you've got it all figured out. You think you're so smart. But guess what? That lawyer you called, he's our lawyer." My blood went cold. "What do you mean?" Mark grinned. "You really think I didn't see this coming? I've been preparing too." Then he dropped the bomb. "I've been moving money around." The room seemed to spin. "What did you do?" He sipped his beer like he was proud. "Let's just say, if you try to leave, it won't be easy." I didn't flinch. I didn't panic. I crossed my arms and looked him in the eye. "Explain," I said calmly. Mark dragged it out, loving the moment. "While you were busy changing things, I was too. We're still married. I've been quietly moving money from our joint account into one just for me. A little at a time, nothing big enough to raise flags." My stomach turned. "How much?" He smiled. "Enough." That night, after he passed out drunk on the couch, I grabbed my laptop. What I saw made me sick. Over $15,000 was gone. Not in one chunk, just slow withdrawals over months. He had started before we even argued about Mike. This wasn't about his brother. Mark had planned this. He'd been waiting for me to fight back so he could hit harder. And then, worse. I found a loan. A $20,000 loan. In my name. Mark wasn't just stealing. He was trying to bury me in debt. I called my lawyer the next morning. They said we could trace the money and fight the loan. But something still felt off. I needed more. Then I remembered, Mark talks too much when he drinks. So I waited. For 2 days, I acted like nothing was wrong. I let him think he won. I let him think I was scared. On the third night, after a few beers, I casually asked, "So where's the money?" He laughed. "Why, you planning to take it back?" "No," I said lightly. "I just want to know how smart you really are." Mark smirked. "Oh, I'm smart. Smarter than you ever thought." I tilted my head. "Then tell me." And he did. It wasn't just the money or the loan. Mark had been planning this for a year, ever since my raise, because he was seeing someone else. And that loan, it was for her. I felt like I'd been punched, but I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even flinch. I smiled, because he had just handed me everything I needed. I took a slow sip of wine and smiled at him. "Wow," I said. "You really thought you'd get away with this, huh?" His smile faltered. "What's that supposed to mean?" I grabbed my bag, and dropped a folder on the table. "This is everything I found. The transfers. The loan. All of it." His face turned pale. "Where did you get this?" "I have my ways," I said. He flipped through the papers, breathing hard. Then I pulled out one last page. "And this," I said, "proves your affair." His head snapped up. "You're lying." I slid the paper across the table. It was a bank transfer, from our account to some woman's account. The note? "For rent, my love. Can't wait to see you again." I let it all sink in. Mark looked stunned. His mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Don't, I said, raising my hand. Don't lie. Don't try to twist this. You got caught. Own it. Silence. Then from the hallway a voice said, "Well, this is awkward." I turned around. It was Mike standing in the doorway. I had completely forgotten he was still staying at our place. He strolled in slowly, running a hand through his messy hair like he had just gotten out of bed. "So," he said, looking at both of us, "Mark's been cheating." Not surprised. Mark snapped his head toward him. "Shut up, Mike. This has nothing to do with you." Mike chuckled. "Oh, it definitely does." He pulled out his phone and waved it. "I heard everything, and I recorded it." My eyes went wide. "You recorded all of that?" Mike shrugged. "Hey, I may be a screw-up, but I'm not stupid. I had a feeling Mark was doing you dirty. But wow, this is worse than I thought." Mark exploded. He grabbed Mike by the shirt. "Delete it." Mike just smirked. "Make me." I probably should have stopped them. But honestly, I didn't. Mark threw the first punch, but Mike was bigger. He shoved Mark hard, sending him crashing into the kitchen counter. Glass shattered all over the floor. Mark wiped his bleeding lip and yelled, "You bastard." Mike glared at him. Funny coming from the guy who's been treating me like garbage for years, while using our money to play sugar daddy. Mark turned to me, panicking. "Are you really just going to let him do this?" I crossed my arms. "I didn't tell him to record you, but I'm definitely not stopping him." Mark's face turned red. He knew he was cornered. And like all cowards, he ran. He grabbed his keys, stormed out, and slammed the door so hard it shook the walls. The house went quiet. For the first time in years, it actually felt peaceful. Mike let out a low whistle. "Well, that was a mess." I looked at him. "You seriously got the whole thing recorded?" He held up his phone. "Full audio. Clear as day. Want to send it to your lawyer?" I stared at him. Mike, the guy everyone thought was a burden, had just handed me the final piece I needed to end this. "Yeah," I said, taking a deep breath. "Send it." The next morning, I filed for divorce. With the money transfers, the fake loan, and now proof of the affair, Mark didn't stand a chance. My lawyer froze all our accounts before he could take anything else. And because he used my name to take out a loan that went to his girlfriend, the bank opened a fraud case. Mark was done. And that girlfriend, she dumped him the second the money stopped. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Last I heard, Mark had to move in with his parents, and they were not happy. Even worse, he had to borrow money from Mike. Yeah, Mike, the same brother he always mocked. Let that sink in. And Mike, he's still got problems, but he's doing better. He even found a job and paid me back part of what he owed. Honestly, I think for the first time, he actually learned something. As for me, I'm free. Free from the lies. Free from the stress. Free from Mark. And you know what? I've never slept better in my life.